The best scene in Final Fantasy VII Remake. It doesn't take much to see that Cloud is a pretty lonely guy dressed up as a mercenary. The bombing job of Sector 1 goes off reasonably well, and he did his role competently. He more or less got along with the team, but clashed a bit with Barrett, the leader of the eco-terrorist group Avalanche. They get back safely to home base, where Cloud reunites with Tifa. She's running a bar, which doubles as a hideout for Avalanche. This is their reunion, having not properly seen each other since a surprisingly heart-to-heart chat in their hometown many years ago.
It's just... you've really changed.
They go around collecting some money for his payment and doing a few jobs around town. They chat throughout the day about life since they left their homes and about the state of Midgard and the slums. Tifa tries her best to keep everything chipper, while Cloud acts a little gloomy, disappointed by the mundanity of the jobs. It's friendly, but a little awkward overall. After a long day, they head back to the bar. She pours him a drink before joining a members-only meeting about the next bombing mission. Another member, Jessie, tells Cloud she hopes they'll be able to hire him again for the next job. But after the meeting, Barrett drops the news that they'll be doing this one without his help. Cloud stonewalls.
Fine by me. That's how I like it. No contract, no obligation.
Figured you'd say that. Here, the rest of your payment, along with a little extra for your exemplary service. And thus concludes our business. Gonna have to ask you to leave now. This here's a private affair.
Sorry to keep you thirsty boys waiting.
Avalanche!
The scene. And so it transitions back to player control. Cloud is sitting at the bar, blankly staring ahead while the camera looks at the festivity behind him. A group of longtime friends celebrating their successful mission and reminiscing in old times, thick and thin. He can get up to leave at any point, but until then, all you can do is sit and pan the camera. This is effective use of the interactive medium to characterize and convey emotion. He's sitting there, by himself, just outside the group of happy people. He doesn't have to leave immediately, but that's kind of why it hurts. Cloud himself stares purely ahead of the wall, so the camera essentially has other senses and his imagination running amok, thinking about what he's missing out on. Control of the camera drives the feeling of loneliness. Once you finally have him stand up, he can briefly try to walk around, but if he talks to anyone, he gets brushed off. It hurts because you thought he was on good terms with some of them, but even Tifa tells him, not right now.
We'll talk later. I promise. Sorry, you were saying?
It's plain that he was never part of the group. I imagine anyone who struggled with socialization and making friends when they were young has been through the same scene before, while other players who didn't have these struggles might not even have noticed the big deal. Personally, the scene would have been just a little bit stronger if Cloud didn't have the freedom to walk around, only directly to the door, emphasizing his fear of placing himself in emotionally vulnerable situations. Having a judicious lack of choice in an interactive medium can be used to great storytelling effect, but I digress. I don't think this scene would have worked as directly in a movie or film. I imagine trying to recreate this scene, quote, verbatim in a film would either have the scene be too short to successfully capture the feeling of social anxiety, or too long and come off as boring. Put another way, for this kind of scene where you just have to let it breathe and build up a feeling, the optimal amount of time is probably different from each person. For me, it was about 45 seconds. You might imagine for someone else it might be 15 seconds. For a film where the runtime is fixed, I don't know that there is a perfect runtime to please every person, and for a filmmaker, they probably would have had to choose an alternate technique. What makes the scene work in-game is that you can stay for any period of time as the anxiety builds, letting your feelings decide when too much is too much, all the while using the camera to peer behind you. Or, if you're a different type of player, not even moving the camera at all, just being a total wallflower. Again, the camera control, even if you don't use it, does a lot to create the feeling. It doesn't make any change to the state of the game, but allowing yourself the option to move the camera captures the loneliness through the action itself. You could imagine a movie might try to do this with visual symbolism of a murky window, or a closed doorway, or perhaps using certain shot framing techniques. But the interactivity here cuts out the need for middleman symbolism and gets right to the feeling itself. And I think that's a pretty neat use of the medium.